I show you the attribute information. I don't know if you clearly see that, even though you did not see it for our for the video, you can actually see the videos on how the attribute look like. Okay. So now I try to explain how we use our GIS to market our property to our client without necessarily taking them to site. Possibly you are an estate developer or an estate manager, you have a property that you are managing, and then you want to actually show your clients. You have completed your structure, okay? Now you have all the buildings, maybe quite number of buildings in that place. So now you can even do your room allocation, allocating room to the people, managing those information, managing those facilities from your home. Okay, and how do you do that? Depend on the level of technology that you are using. Okay, all those things depend on the level of technology that you are using. If you don't have a good technology, that you have a link, maybe a visualization link from your office to your site, then you can actually do a normal management where you send your few staff to go to the place and take a good snapshot of the place and get enough information, enough data, so that you bring it to your office and then interlink it with your shapefile or with your data that you have in your office. Okay, now for easy viewing of those your data, what I say is that now I have this layer from Imo State. Okay. Now, for easy view of those layer, I can just click here and then click on identifier to see this is this they call it identifier feature. You click on it and then you come and click on the object that you want to identify. Okay. Now, it will now tell you all the information, the attribute information attached. Now, this attribute information, you can as well add more information. This is what you just followed the exported KML from the Google Earth. All these information there is a default information from Google Earth, which we can actually remove all this information and add our own. You can add the name of the site, the number of room, okay, the number of room, if the room is tied, if there's also number of fittings, all the information about your fittings or the electrical work, if the place is painted, if the place have AC and all those kind of things, you can combine all those information. You understand? And all those has to do with your organization of data. That is where you can be able to actually arrange it and understand what you arrange. With just a click, what you need is as you just click and use your identifier to see, you will just be scrolling down here, okay? And you'll be seeing all those things, okay? We are going to actually practicalize few of those things. We cannot be, based on time, we cannot be able to do everything, but on your own, as I'm explaining, you can actually try something about it. Although I have not shown you how you can add any of those informations, okay, because we have not created any layer by ourselves, which we are not going to do that today because of our time, okay? But when we do that, possibly by next weekend, when we create a layer and digitize the polygon by ourselves, we can now add more information about ourselves, okay? And then see how you can be able to manipulate. For example, our colleague is talking about their own facilities in different locations, in different states. We can now create point and actually pick point ourselves. He actually has his own data. Possibly we'll use the CSV and then load it and see how it works. And then at the same time, we can actually pick our own points from your satellite image. For example, if you have a property in Lagos, maybe Victoria Island, Lagos, you can search for it and then possibly locate that property and then you put point here. You have another property in Kano, in different location in Kano, you can search for it based on the fact you have all these information and then you pick your point, okay? And you can add more information, possibly the picture of the site, the land, the size of the land and all those information. And you can access those information with just these identifier tools. So take note of that, okay? Because I hope you people are seeing my screen. I don't know. You are seeing my screen, right? Please, can somebody reply me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, this is just a simple way how you can do using identifier tools, and I've explained the advantage of these identifier tools. You know, based on GIS for construction professionals, we are actually not going to make use of all the GIS tools. We are going to point out the tools that will actually be of necessity to us, depend on your job function. Your own might be if you're using your GIS for site planning, maybe a site layout, you understand? Your own, you can be using your own GIS for estate management or property management, or you can use your own GIS for site organization or for safety of site and all those kind of things. Or you can use your own GIS for site analysis or site planning, okay, or assessments. So depend on what you want to use. And it's more preferable if you just focus on one and be able to achieve that, you can go to the next. Don't combine two. Like what you are trying to say now, the course of this training, possibly in our course content, we have a site layout, producing a site layout in the course content, okay? So if that is okay by you, you can actually focus on the layout and then be able to perfect that, and then you can go more into other aspects. Everything is still the same tools or the same knowledge that you're going to use. It's just an application, okay? So now I double click on this layer, okay, on the IMO layer, so that I can see information about the layer. Okay, now you see we have information about the layer here, which is the first one. Have IMO state layer, the location of the file, the source where the file is coming from, and all that. The CRS, you say that we are using WGS, so you are seeing here the geometry is polygon. Okay, now if I go to the source, it's telling you where it's coming from, WGS, IMO state, and then the symbology now has to do with coloring, styling. Okay, for example, you see a map or you see a polygon with different style, possibly like a town planning. Now, if you are doing a layout, maybe maybe a master plan of a particular place, you can actually differentiate it with the different colors, and then at the end you produce a legend or a key for it. Okay, so now for me to change, presently this is the color that we have, right? If you look at the texture, so for me to change that color, I'll just click on it and then click on this arrow here. You see that we're having a color, fill color. We have fill color, and then we have stroke color. So I'll use this fill color and then change. So let's assume I want blue. I'll just click on blue, and then I'll click OK. Okay, so you see it has changed to blue. So now this is how you can change your style. Then another thing again is that if you want to make this your polygon transparent, what I mean by transparent is that so that you'll be seeing building that they are under. So what we need only is the outline. You understand? The outline line, that is what you need. You understand? So at that point, you don't need the fill color. Like this first one, we don't need it. We only need the stroke color. That is the outline. Okay. So now I will click on this stroke. So instead of changing it to a color now, any color you want, depending on what you want actually, I'll just click on transparent. Okay, so that will make it empty. Then I'll come to the stroke. I can decide to change it to possibly that blue now. And then you can increase the thickness of the stroke. That is the stroke width. Now that is the line, the thickness of the line or the thickness of the polygon. I can increase it. So you see that it is increasing here. And then I'll click OK. So you see, now this is what I mean by transparent. At this point now, I have my polygon, and then I can see the features under. So possibly if you digitize your plot or a particular site that you want to build, possibly you want to do a site plan now, it is more better you make it transparent so that when you are doing your site organization or site planning, you can actually see everything clearly. You cannot do it blindly, because if you do it blindly now, the essence of using GIS is being defeated. Okay, we can actually do it with AutoCAD, but just that AutoCAD, based on the fact that we are not using a satellite image on it, it will actually not it will not look real for us because we are just making an assumption. But for example, now you are seeing this particular area, you are seeing, okay, there are some buildings here. So there's an existing building here. So I don't actually need to put that there should be a query somewhere here, or maybe they'll put the laterite somewhere here or something. Okay, so now you do all those, your site organization, you know where your access route is coming from, and at the same time, maybe possibly from your site analysis, you know the location of all the queries or all the aggregate that you are going to use. Okay, you know where you are getting your pass aggregate from, or fine aggregate, or your hardcore and all that, anything that you are using for the construction. So you do your proper site planning, okay, with a real-time visualization, not assumption. Okay, this is just an advantage of using GIS software in that. Definitely all these things that we are saying, we can actually use AutoCAD to do it, but in terms of visualization and interlinking of data, okay, this is where the information using GIS is more better, because you have AutoCAD drawing. Definitely, this present CAD software that we are having now, there's a room for building information modeling, which there's a linkage. Also, if you are using a Revit, you can be able to access some properties, but those properties there will not be as much as when you are using a GIS software, where you can add load of information to your data. You understand? And then another advantage, again, it has a room, possibly that you can actually link it with Excel, or possibly link it with MS Project, the project management software, and then you can have your schedule attached to your properties. So that when you're making a presentation to your client, everything clearly shown to your client. Okay. So at the same time,
Your class.
can you mute? Who is that? Do you have a question?
Yes, Jerry, please. I have a question. Yes, I have a few things I need to say before I forget, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Is it possible to link data from AutoCAD to GIS?
Yes. Not link.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. It's possible to export data from AutoCAD to GIS. That's when I talk about when I was looking at please, can you mute yourself now? Can you mute yourself so that we talk?
Okay.
Yes. Now you can. That's when I was loading the KMZ file, I said you should put it on all files, so that I don't put it in one format. For example, so that, because in that particular file format now, we have DWG, we have DSF, we have X-ray shapefile, we have GeoDC in different file formats. So now, if you export your let's assume if you have your AutoCAD file, if you want to bring it into GIS, just go to your vector the same way that I entered. I'll click on layer, add vector, okay, add vector, and then I'll click on browse, and then in this time around now, I'll put it on DWG. You see it on my screen here, are you seeing it? DWG, that is AutoCAD. You click on it now, it will now bring out AutoCAD. So you see I'm having one AutoCAD here called Structural Work 2. So I can click on it and click open, and then I'll bring it in. You understand? So it's just a simple way. It's a collaboration, or it's possible for you to integrate AutoCAD with GIS. Okay. So I hope that answer your question.
Second question, please.
Yes.
Yes. Please, you see this layer that you have imported?
Yes.
Now? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Now, what if somebody is on site, if somebody is in the course of our training, please. Yes. If somebody is on site and he has his GPS.
Yes.
And then he is able to gather his data.
Yes.
Direct from site.
Yes.
Please, you teach us how to create this now, this shape that I'm seeing now, this layer.
Of course, don't worry.
With the aid of a mere input of this data.
Yes. Don't worry, we are going to do that. If you look at our course content.
And then secondly, there was a project currently on the SIFTAS.
You say?
So recently there was a project from SIFTAS.
SIFTAS, right?
Yes.
Yes, I involved in that project also. It's a World Bank project where
Thank you.
information. Yes, I involved in the project.
Yes.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Where the one you were explaining about having data about places, pictures, and others, is in relation to it.
Yes.
So in the course of our engagements, I want more clarification on that.
Yeah. Now, like SafeTax now, now in using like the Self-Task project here in Kaduna, what we use what we call Q-Field. Now Q-Field now is that you have a mobile phone where you are picking your information, and then that mobile phone now is linked to particular properties. Each will now digitize every properties here in Kaduna. That is every settlement, like not settlement, every properties, every compound. Okay, we digitize it, and then as the field people go to the field. So if you go to this Mr. John's house, now we have already Mr. John Schaefer in our office. So as they are picking the information, it is being linked to Mr. John immediately. So what you need is just come, as far as you load those information in your QGIS, you just click on identifier tools and then you display it. Okay, we are going to do all those things because we have to follow our course content step by step, because if not, we actually get a lot of people confused. So we are not going to create points or polygon today. It's only when we create polygon that we can digitize everything by ourselves. For example, our colleagues, I think it's engineer Umar yesterday, right? I don't know who asked that question about having facilities in different locations. Possibly you can send those data if it is not too confidential for you, but if it's confidential, no problem, we'll access another data. But if it's not too confidential, you can send it so that we can use a real data to actually do our practice on that. So that we, as far as we have a point, we can bring out any shape. And then on your own, if you can point, you can bring out any points. Possibly you have a GPS, or you can use your phone and pick any point on your own based on what I've explained for you before the next class, so that we load it, so that you see it yourself, not that I'm making any assumption here. We load it, and then we actually digitize and then bring out those shifts for ourselves, and then we can actually continue from there. And then another thing I want to learn before we stop, because trying to make sure that we finish by 4. So if you click on this, the same information, guys, double click on it, where we change the symbologies, make it transparent. If you look at the next tools here, is label. What I mean by label is, let's say in AutoCAD, annotation, like labeling. Labeling, like when you do our drawing in school, they say label it, draw with label, right? So when you say label, now is to say maybe add information, like display information about that object, right? So now, for example, now, if you look at when I open the attribute information, we have the name. Under the name, we have Imo State, something like that, which is the only major information we have there. So now I can display that to actually show that this property is in Imo State. So now click on label. Now, on the top here, we see that it is shown no label, right? It's showing no label. Now, if I click on this arrow, small arrow here, I'll click on single label. Okay. Now, if I click on single label now, it will now admit or show more features for us to see. Now, under the value, what are you going to show? If I click on this arrow, it shows all the informations, all the fields that we have on that attribute information. But this time around, we want to show the name. Let us label the name, let the name show on our image. So I'll click on, I'll show the name, and then we have the text color. Let's assume I'll change it to red. Okay, depend on your aesthetic or your graphic level, you understand, or your cartographic level in terms of GIS. Okay, so I'll click on this. Okay, I'll change the color, and then the size. You can increase the size. This is 10. I can increase it so that it will show. Okay, let me put it at 20, and then I'll click OK. So you see that it's showing that this particular polygon is Imo land. Okay, because that is what is in the attribute information. So now, if you add more attribute information to it, possibly the size of the plot, the location of the plot, the state of that plot, or other information that you want. If you want to load them or you want to show them, possibly because in your map, your output that you are going to produce, you have to actually show. So now for here, now I have an Imo, I have a property in Imo State. Possibly somewhere here, I have a property in another place. Possibly somewhere here, I have a property in another place. So at the end, now you can now display your map and produce a final map for your clients or your organization. Okay, so if you continue down under the same properties of a layer, okay, if you come, there's something they call buffering. Here, under, we have the text format is for you to increase the text and not manipulating like your Microsoft Word. Then we talk about buffering. Buffering now is to add a texture for clarity. Now, if I add buffering now to add a kind of white outline to the text, look at it. It adds a white line to this text just for clarity. Okay, just for clarity of your label. So you can only use this buffer this buffering when you are using a base map, possibly your satellite image. Because if you are using a plain background, let's say a white background, an empty map, that you don't actually need to use a base map, and then use buffer, you see that the white outline will not show, right? So mostly you use this when you are using a base map, and then you want a clarity in your map. Okay. So this is now another thing I want to show you before we continue, we stop, because this is 3:51. Another thing I want to show you is that you can zoom, okay, like the way you zoom normally in your AutoCAD or in any of your software. I assume that we use AutoCAD. Actually, that's how we make mention of AutoCAD. So your zooming is using your scroll, like in your mouse. If you have your mouse, you have a roll button, right? So you can roll when you are rolling it back, you are reducing it, and when you are rolling it up, you are increasing it. Please take note of that, because you have to know how to play around with all those things for you to actually do these things very well. Okay. And then at the same time, you can actually palm. You can actually palm it. Palming now, what I did by palming now is that I'll just press my roll, my roll button on my mouse. I'll press it and hold it down, and then I drag. I can palm it. Now, the essence or the advantage of palming than scrolling is because now, if you are palming, you are maintaining the same resolution. You don't actually need to stress yourself. Let's assume I want to go to see what information that is up here. Instead of me to zoom down and then start to zoom here, you understand, which to actually take my time. Based on that, I have this, I can just palm down like this and see what is there. Now, we maintain the same resolution, okay, without zooming, okay? So take note of your palming in QGIS, okay? So I don't know if there's any question.